This evening I would like to explore a very interesting notion that Alan Watts developed in a very clever way, clever in the better sense, of course, in a book he called The Taboo Against Knowing the Self. Now, he said have to understand there's a taboo against knowing the self. And that's certainly true. And in the book, he explores all the different views about the self, or the lack of it, in philosophy and psychology and sociology. And then he finally takes occasion to reflect back and give out his own view. It's a world view. Now, basically, there are only a finite number of world views. I'd like to present several so we can then contrast it with what Alan is doing. The first, which is traditional Christian Hebraic view, is that there is a God, and God had an idea, and by focusing on that idea, he then generated the universe. And in the process of 7 days, each day he looked upon it after the completion of the creation and said it was good. That means he was able then to look at what he did and compare it with some idea, and he pronounced the relationship between the idea of the universe, or the model, and copy, as of such a nature as to say good. As an artist might look upon his work and compare it with what the idea he had in his mind, and if he's satisfied with it, he would pronounce the creation as good. This therefore has a beginning and will have an end. This is the theological, Christian Hebraic theological view, and it also has a further development in Plato's Timaeus. So it is a Timaeus, Platonic idea of creation, different, of course, rather than 7 days, it's a whole development, metaphysical development. But in any case, we'll call this the theological model. Now, I'd like to give the next model as the Advaita Vedanta. The Advaita Vedanta holds that this phenomenal universe as we experience it is actually our delusion. It's a delusion. We are deluded about the true nature of this phenomenal universe, because if we ever were to see the nature of reality in that state of reality, it would reveal itself as being non-dual. Now, non-dual strictly means now, from the Advaita Vedanta viewpoint, that there is no possible relationship between the phenomenal and the nature of ultimate reality. There's no relationship, and the example they give, which is a very fine example, is the old one of being in a forest or a jungle, and you're shocked to discover a snake lies in your path, and you run away from it, come back with it later with some friends, and to discover that what you thought to be a snake was not a snake at all, but just a coiled rope. Now, you projected upon it the snake. That's a projection, what they call an imposition in Hindu terms. It's an imposition. Name, form, this is all an imposition. to ask about the origin of the snake and where it's going, or what may come of it, or the history of it doesn't make any sense, because basically it's an illusion. Therefore, there is no relationship between the nature of reality and the phenomenal universe, because it is in fact Maya, or an illusion. Now, we can now move into another image. And that is that whatever happened in the beginning was a big bang. And what we can see is simply the consequences of that enactment of the original Big Bang cosmic explosion. And therefore, the entire universe is nothing other than the working out of the implications of the Big Bang. Therefore, in that sense, the universe unfolds from its origin, and that unfolding is nothing other than the unfolding of time. Therefore, this view, of course, is Stephen Hawking's. He presented it most dramatically in a book and a film called The History of Time. What's essential about this view is that the whole process involved in studying it uses a mathematical physical model which itself has no independent existence. It's an artifact. It's just a way of talking and describing. So therefore, the way we derive our knowledge of this is from an artifact. And there's nothing particularly significant and eternal about the English language, and equally well, there's nothing particularly eternal about mathematics and physics. It just happens to be an artifact we use to understand it. In contrast to this view, it's essentially, it starts with the same basic idea that yes, there was a Big Bang, there is an unfoldment. Here is the universe then. But this entire universe is not merely a history of time. What it really shows is the structure of mathematics. That is to say, if you really understand the universe, the physical universe, what you really are studying is mathematics. And that's the basic language of the universe. Next up. Therefore, there really is a mathematics independent of creation. There is a mathematics. This is discovered. It's not invented. It's not an artifact. And therefore, with this language, we can use it to fully comprehend this physical universe of ours and solve whatever problem that comes to us, we can solve it with our tools of mathematics. But mathematics itself presupposes a meta-mathematics,